Another quarterback that is trying to revive his career is Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen got drafted by the Cardinals 10th overall. After his first season, got traded to the Dolphins because they drafted Kyler Murray and got hired Cliff Kingsbury. In Miami, he wasn't very good. He got cut. Then he went to Tampa Bay, and he was on the practice squad. He got cut from there. And as of recently, he was on the San Francisco 49ers, and obviously them trading up for a quarterback in the draft made them see that, okay, Josh Rosen isn't that good, and then they cut him as well. And now he recently got picked up by the Atlanta Falcons. When talking about Josh Rosen, a lot of people like to say that he never got a fair shot in the NFL. Where do you stand on that? Do you think Josh Rosen ever got a fair opportunity in the NFL, or he's just not good?
You can't really say that, because it's like he's had situations where he can show his ability, he can show where he can be good. He's being cut in training camps, he's being cut on practice squad. So it's like, to say he's never got, he was a top 10 pick. So it's like he's definitely had that opportunity. When you're a high pick, 90% of the times you've given the opportunity to show what you can do. Now, your team may not be good, the situation around you might not be good, but you've been given the opportunity to show your talents and what you can do. And I just think to make that excuse for a guy who just simply hasn't been able to show his ability in the NFL is a pretty wild move. I think most of that is being said is just Josh Rosen fans. I know we know a Josh Rosen fan.
Those exist?
Yes, it actually does exist. Yeah.
Are you one of those?
No,
I'm
not him.
definitely not.
No. We know a Josh Rosen.
I wasn't high on Josh Rosen before the draft.
Real, rightfully so.
Yeah, so it's like to say I think it's just he isn't that good. Like, he isn't good at playing football. I think he's been given multiple opportunities. He's been able to show what he can do. He hasn't shown it.
I think we're all going to say the same thing. I don't know. Maybe you're a wild card. So
yeah, you definitely are a wild card.
I never know with you, but regardless of that, he got a shot in Arizona. And people are going to say, you know what, he wasn't given that second year. It was Kyler Murray. They had the first pick overall. It's a no-brainer decision. You take Kyler Murray. He's a franchise changer. But in that first season, he played 13 games. It's not like he was like Drew Lock where he only played 6 games. He played 13 of those games. He was terrible. He threw 11 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. It really wasn't anything close to the word effective or anything close for the Cardinals to think, you know what, this is our guy. We're going to pass on Kyler. We're going to trade back. We're going to get some assets. No. Cliff Kingsbury came in. He realized, you know what, I want my guy. I don't like Rosen. I'm going to go get Kyler. So then they go and they trade him to Miami. Now, Miami was an open competition that he could have won. And he came in, played 3 games, was 1 for 5, 1 touchdown, 5 interceptions, was terrible. Of course he wasn't going to end up playing. But he got multiple chances. Again, like you mentioned, he's getting training camp opportunities. He's obviously not showing out. If he were showing out, he'd be a backup spot. You look at Dwayne Haskins, something similar. Dwayne Haskins, extremely similar situation on the Redskins, gets drafted in the first round. Redskins aren't a fan of his. They cut him. Now he's on the Steelers. He's been impressing on the Steelers. Now he's won the second job. Now he's starting this last game for the Steelers in their preseason because he's impressed them that much. Josh Rosen easily could have had the same opportunities that he did. He just didn't seize them. So anyone that's saying he didn't get a fair shot, it's the NFL. Ultimately, it's a cutthroat league. If you're not performing, you're done.
I disagree with that Dwayne Haskins comparison. Dwayne Haskins was in a good situation in Washington. Maybe not his rookie year, but his second year, he definitely was in a good situation with Ron Rivera, and Haskins messed that up for himself.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm with you.
He gets cut, and he goes to Pittsburgh, which is another great situation. Josh Rosen did not get to dictate his destiny. He got traded to Miami, an organization at the time that was rebuilding, and they had the slogan "Tank for Tua." And maybe probably should have changed it to Tank for Herbert because that's the guy who's actually really good.
Don't regret that statement. Don't regret that statement this season.
Trust me, I won't regret it.
All right, bro.
I won't regret it.
Okay.
I'm on record saying that Tua will never be Herbert.
Don't regret that statement this season.
Josh Rosen, it's weird with him, right? Because he's gotten all these opportunities, so you say, yeah, he's had a shot. And I'm torn between my answer with this because I can agree, right? You know, you've been in so many different places and none of them have wanted to keep you. I'm obviously going to look at you first. But in Arizona as a rookie, Steve Wilkes is the head coach. Steve Wilkes is a defensive-minded head coach. They don't have a good offensive play caller. They have one of the worst offensive lines in the league. They don't have good wide receivers outside of Larry, who was already past his prime. Larry hasn't been Larry for a while now. He hasn't been good for a while now. Arizona had no talent. He threw 11 touchdowns and 14 interceptions. Usually, when you're a high draft pick and you get drafted by a team, that team at least gives you 3 years to show that you suck, right? Mm-hmm. That's what happened with the Jets and Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold got 3 years to show us he's not good. Mm-hmm. And then the Jets, let him go and walked away from Sam Darnold and traded him to Carolina. Josh Rosen got that 1 year unfortunate situation that the Cardinals had the number 1 overall pick and Cliff Kingsbury was a new coach, and he was on record saying, if I had the number 1 pick, I would draft Kyler Murray.
Facts.
You get traded to Miami, which was an awful situation, and he didn't play well either. 1 touchdown, 5 interceptions. Each of those seasons in Miami and Arizona, he has had a 55% completion percentage. He hasn't been good.
No way.
What hurts his case more is that once Ryan Fitzpatrick comes in, there's all of a sudden this new resurgence of energy in Miami, and Miami is actually competitive. But with Josh Rosen, they were god-awful. They were probably going to not even win a game with him if he played the entire season. Then that's where I think controlling his own destiny starts to come in, right? Because Miami and Arizona, I can give him the benefit of the doubt. You were in a bad situation. I'm not going to blame you for it. But then when he goes to San Fran and they don't want him, Kyle Shanahan, quarterback guru, is looking at you like they compared you to Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Shanahan, Rosen is cut. Before that, he went to Tampa Bay. Bruce Arians. They needed a replacement for Tom Brady for after he retires. Possibly, who knows? At the rate Brady's going at right now, he might go until he's 60. They need a young quarterback. Josh Rosen, you look at him and say, you know what? You're not the guy either. We'd rather have Blaine Gabbert.
I'm crying.
And now you're going to Atlanta to back up or to at least fight for a spot on the roster. And you're going to be watching the guy they compared you to pre-draft in Matt Ryan. Can he teach him some things? Maybe. But the reason why I feel less bad about Rosen and all of this is the reason why I don't feel too bad for him is because on draft night, you had the infamous quote of saying, there were 9 mistakes ahead of me.
Yeah.
And all of those guys were actually the right decision ahead of you. And the only mistake within that top 10 was you and Sam Darnold, of course, but not as bad. That's the only real legitimate mistake was Josh Rosen. That's why I don't feel that bad for Josh Rosen. I think in the beginning, the situation was bad. But then when he started to pick the situations, Tampa Bay, one of the best situations in the league, San Fran, and you don't pan out there, it's a you thing.
For sure.
And if he was more humble about it, I would have been more sympathetic. But the fact that he was cocky about it made me view him in a side-eyed way and say, you know what? You kind of deserve this. You had this coming.
Mac Jones was a little cocky, too. What if Mac Jones ends up being a bust? Would you feel the same way
Mac
towards
Jones
him?
is not cocky. He's confident.
But so is he.
No, that cocky is different from confidence.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Mac Jones never came out and said, "Oh, these 14 teams are going to regret not taking me," or all this other stuff.
Fair enough.
Mac Jones just believes in his game, and I believe in it too. I think.
Me too.
I think Mac and cheese is going to be good, man. And you had the report that said that Mac Jones might be the starting quarterback week 1.
Facts.
Obviously Bill Belichick doesn't play around with that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.